All right, we're live here on a. It is a Monday. Does I don't know. It doesn't feel like a Monday, but yet it is a Monday.
Well,
Michael Knight,
until we get past New Year's, Vinny, none of these days make any sense.
yeah, it's true. Well,
You
yeah,
don't know
it's
what day
just
it
a
is.
lot of cleaning up.
Is it Saturday? Is it Sunday? I don't know.
Yeah, it's
Actually,
a
it's a
lot of
Monday.
cleaning up. That's what it is. It's just cleaning up, man. You're cleaning up
Yeah.
crap from the old year. And although I'm not so enthusiastic about hitting the new year with a fresh start, I've kind of lost my thing for, well, I'm going to have all these resolutions and I'm going to do all of this and all of that. What's going to happen is going to happen. I'm going to try to make some things happen, and um, maybe I'm just I don't know. I don't feel don't feel great about the situation in the country and the economic situation and the way people are getting screwed with. So I don't feel it. I mean, I don't feel like let's make some resolutions. 2026 is gonna be a great year. Hopefully, it'll be a good year. Hopefully, we'll get to 2027. That's my motto. Try to get to 2027.
Well, that's a modest motto. That's not asking too much.
Right. I want to get to 2027. If I get there, I think that's a that's my resolution. I just came up with my New Year's resolution. Get to 2027.
So that'll be good for next year, too.
Well, next year it'll turn to get to 2028. But the more those numbers go up, the less confident you get.
Well, I see Trump juggling Netanyahu on one hand and Vladimir Putin on the other. And he thinks he's going to win them both hands down, that he's just going to be made the peace president, will be celebrated in history books for the way he brought how many wars to the end. I mean,
This is 18.
every
Now
time he discusses it, it gets more preposterous.
yeah, he's going to have. It's going to look like where you used to drive by Yankee Stadium. I always remember this. You come back from the cousins in New Jersey. You come back from New Jersey. You come across the George Washington Bridge. Get on the Major Deegan Expressway, and a couple of mile past where you get on the Major Deegan Expressway is Yankee Stadium. Get on at like 195th Street, and Yankee Stadium's at 161st. And they always had it in the winter this sign up on top of Yankee Stadium. It was like a marquee, and they always had some message up there. And um, sometimes they had like a 27 world championships or this. So I think that the Trump probably have seen that a number of times and now wants to put a sign in front of the White House, same kind of sign with the marquee with the letters and everything. 27 wars stopped, 27 peace deals done. I don't know. I just it's real. He just
It's laughable. It's a joke.
yeah, it's a joke. People that do that kind of stuff don't advertise it. First of all, people do that stuff. Look at what Jimmy Carter did. He got the Jews and the Arabs talking for the first time in 40 years. And he didn't run up and down the street screaming, look at me, look at me. But that's Trump. That's what you got. And people still defend him. People love him. So, um, yeah, I'm sick of talking about the guy because it's now. I know you got to talk about him, but his just his name, his presence, is just any his skin. His skin makes me crawl.
Yeah, no
Just
doubt.
seeing him.
Well,
So
the presentation that we get from him on a daily basis, no matter how important the event or the press conference might be, is that he's out of focus. He goes unbidden into the Russia, Russia, Russia speech. Joe Biden is the fault of it all, and that there was never an agreement with Russia. There was never anything. There was no series of events that could be traced back to Russia that were detriment to the presidential race. And we know for a fact that those relationships did exist. That the hackers within Russia were working on behalf of Trump against Hillary Clinton and any other candidate that stood in their way. And the fact that Trump yesterday talked about the hoax of the election. The 2020 election was stolen. It was hijacked. It was taken from him. It was top of mind with him yesterday. He couldn't help but bring it up in the discussion with Volodymyr Zelensky at the Mar-a-Lago. So the inability of him to stay focused on reality is long gone, and his gradual descent, if not erosion, into this new state of mind of his is painful to watch. He's not right. He's a troubled.
Well, it's not. That's it. It's not painful on me. It's
troubled, angry, and weird.
It's an old dude, man. It's an old dude that should be sitting in a rocking chair somewhere, off enjoying his money, and letting people that know what they're doing handle things. And instead, he's just a blithering idiot. And people gauge his effectiveness on the price of gasoline. That's what people are. The price of gasoline. Oh, well, look at gasoline. It's down to $3.50 a gallon. When Biden, it was $5 a gallon. Well, yeah, but you didn't. Listen. It's. We have not had a president ever like this. If the Lord's willing, we will not have another president ever again like this. Although I fear that this is just the first of a lot. This country is changing, has changed, and is changing in such a way that I don't know that we're going to recognize it in 5 years. I don't know that we're gonna be able to understand it or recognize it. The Christian right has taken hold. It seems more and more as if they want a holy war, and they want the United States to go and prosecute it.
We just can't make up our mind who we want to attack. Sometimes it's Greenland, sometimes it's Venezuela, sometimes it's Iran. The agreement that is being discussed this morning is that Netanyahu wants to do Iran. He wants the U.S. to go with him. He wants to wipe them out, wants to replace the government, kill the leaders, neutralize what they perceive as a threat, and they want to do it with our help and our agreement to join them. And this is a bad idea. This is a terrible idea. This is more Middle East madness. Netanyahu is great at sustaining wars, continuing wars, prosecuting wars, and making them worse, but he's not any good at stopping them. And he can't stop the one that he's involved with now. And he'd rather it continue, no matter the cost to the United States and to any other country that is foolish enough to side themselves with Israel in terms of, we got your back. We know that you're the only power like yourself in the Middle East. You stand against many people who want to see the destruction of Israel. Well, we'll help you. What do you want to do? Oh, war with Iran? Yeah, we can do that. We can help you with that. We can help with the bombing of the city and the dismantling of the military structure. What else do you want? And when we're done with that, can you help us with Greenland? No, that's not in our interest. We'll leave Greenland to you. You help us. We don't help you.
Is he creates they create more anti-Semitism here. They get people who wouldn't be normally be upset at Jewish people because people lump, for better or for that, they lump Israel and Jewish people into the same category. They take a war hawk, they take a guy like Netanyahu, who I believe that Israel has to defend itself. I don't know that Israel has to go and wipe out other nations. There's no sign that Israel wants to coexist with anybody in the Middle East.
Or accept any of the solutions to the problem of Gaza from any other source but their own.
Right. They want to prosecute a war, and they want us to back them up, and they know and they know right now that Trump will. They know that Trump will do anything for them. And at some point, somebody is going to get involved, whether it be Russia, whether it be China, whether it be India. You know, somebody, this is in 1947.
That was a good year.
Yeah. This is in 1947, and we ain't the world superpower. And I mean, you just, I don't know. I just, yeah. I, I tried to purposely avoid a lot of social media over the Christmas holiday, because I went on it to write a Merry Christmas message, and 90 million people had posted Trump's Christmas message, which was the biggest piece of garbage that I had seen in years. Just an absolute insult to humanity.
Well, it was a message, but what did it have to do with Christmas except for the timing?
Yeah, it's just, I mean, the man, that's the thing. I mean, he doesn't have a Christian bone in his body. No. He doesn't know what Christianity is.
Afraid not.
No fucking idea whatsoever what it is, or what the principles are, or Jesus, or what he was all about. He's got no idea. Jesus would puke if he met Donald Trump.
There's a song there somewhere. Jesus would puke, country song, I believe.
Yeah, he would, because when you look at what the church is supposed to be all about, it's supposed to be all about giving and charity and this and that, and so I don't know. Let's move on to something else.
Let's talk about Howie.
Yeah, let's talk about Howie. We lost a friend over the weekend. I can't say a friend. I mean, it's somebody I know and I respected, I worked with. And we're talking about a guy named Howie Klein, who many people may not know. You know Howie Klein if you were around the alternative music scene in the 80s, if you were on the San Francisco music scene in the 80s, if you were in the record business in the 80s. The guy went from being, a hustler to being a major league hustler. He discovered a couple of bands, started a record label. The bands hit big. He went to work for Warner Brothers in the college radio department when college radio started to really hit as something. When record companies figured out that they could buy some kids by handing them albums instead of money. He had a keen eye for talent, and he knew how to get along with people. And he knew he was a realist. He knew what the business was all about. He knew what the radio business was all about. He knew what the record business was all about. And he knew that it was loaded with bad people. And he was, he taught a lot of people a lot of things along the way. He wasn't a gentle guy. He was a realist. He was, as I said when I posted on Facebook, he was a no bullshit kind of guy.
He started at Stony Brook on Long Island as a student government guy who was booking bands into the college. And that got him a foothold in the business where he could bring bands that corresponded with his taste in new music to the campus, pay them, get them going, start a relationship with them, financial and professional. And that led to the forming eventually of 415 Records when he finally got to the Bay Area. 415 being the telephone and area code for San Francisco, but also the 3-letter numeric code for disturbance of the peace or something of the sort. And so 415 Records was a label devoted to new wave, new artists, new sounds around the San Francisco punk scene as it evolved.
Yeah,
that got him
disturbing the peace. Yeah, I mean they weren't the status quo. They weren't Huey Lewis in the news.
Translator Romeo Void. It was a cutting edge label that had some success. And they got Howie down to LA where he became the president of Sire Records, working for Seymour, what's his last name?
Not Seawoff. I can't remember his name now. That's that. But anyway, yeah, he was working for Sire Records.
And from there he became the president of Reprise Records. And Frank Sinatra, when he founded it, knew that Howie Klein was going to be his president years down the line. He wouldn't have believed it, but it's the truth. It's the way the cookie crumbled in L.A. And Reprise Records was run by Howie, and his reputation was straight up.
Yeah, that's what he was. He was a straight up guy, and I appreciated that about him. I followed Howie for a number of years. When Howie did his, he used to do a show on KUSF, and I followed Howie. And, we really didn't have many great long conversations. Hey, how you doing? Blah, 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 blah. It wasn't like I could look at Howie and say, Howie taught me so much about radio and but he taught a lot of people at KUSF about radio and about the record business and about the music business. And I give him a lot of credit for that. And the conversation, as a matter of fact, I had more conversations with Howie after he got sick than I did ever when we worked at KUSF together.
Mm-hmm.
Howie had gotten cancer 2 years ago, year and a half ago. And I used to just send him messages, hey, hang in there. We'd go through different procedures and things like that. And I just, he was a guy I knew that was sick. And I used to, and I'd see him posting stuff, and I'd send him messages and say, hey, Howie, hang in there. I always hate telling people with cancer it's all going to be okay, because at best it's not going to be okay. I mean, even if you eradicate the cancer, what you got to go through to get rid of it is not okay. It's a hard, grueling procedure that takes a toll. And the anguish that you go through takes a toll on you, no matter who you are. And the support that you can give somebody, no matter who they are, if you know them, means something. even if you know them casually, even if you know them as somebody you worked with, even if you know somebody as even if you've had differences with them in the past. That's the time to just, I don't know, in my book, you just kind of lend support to people because they're going through some tough stuff.
And how he
And I,
wrote eloquently about what he was going through. He made it. He went into detail about the struggle that he had,
yeah,
and wrote about it well.
and maybe I felt a certain kinship because of some of the struggles I went through with my health. So you kind of feel for somebody when you know what they're going through and you know what you're dealing with medical stuff and just the doctors and the um, bureaucracy of medicine and medical care and the
And
sheer idiocy behind it. Um, so he was he was a pioneer. He was a legend, and he was somebody that now that I kind of look back at our days at KUSF together, I guess I kind of wish I would have got to know him a little more. But I think in some ways, and this happens sometimes with people from New York, um, there's this kind of competition that happens. It's not a competition, but it's a I'm from New York, you're from New York. I gotta, I don't know. It's hard to explain, but you understand each other. But there's always like just like there is when you live in New York. There's like a little wall that goes up. There's a little eye that you're giving them. You're watching them. You're like, I gotta watch this guy. It's not like California. California, things are like kind of peace, love, and open the door and let them in. New Yorkers aren't wired like that. To other New Yorkers, you always got a little bit of not suspicion. I'm not going to call it suspicion, but you always got a little bit of just it's almost like a competition. I don't know quite how to explain it, but you're watching them. I'm watching you, and I think Howie and I had that kind of going between us a little bit. Two guys from New York trying to make it in the same building. Although he had already made it, really, it wasn't that. But I was trying to make it, and like I said, I wish I would have got to know the guy more and be a bit more friendly, as I have with a lot of people in my life. I wish that I didn't have the New York thing that makes me suspicious to people in a lot of ways because I probably have cost myself some good friendships by it. And but I was glad that I got to correspond with him and go back and forth with him in his I don't know in his final days. I hope that some of the things that I wrote to him brought him a little bit of comfort and at least let him know that when we worked together and we were at KUSF that I appreciated him and that not just I appreciate him but the whole place. He put a lot of people in the music business um, that went places in the music business, not just a couple of people that got a job as a clerk at WIA or something like that. He put some people in places that went places and made some scratch and figured out how to navigate a really scummy business. So I'm sorry he's gone. He fought a tough battle. I and I feel sorry for those that were close to him.
There's another side to Howie that was always there prominently in his last years, and that was a political positioning of influence. He organized well. He supported candidates. He made his views known, and he was an activist in a lot of ways, and a positive one for change, for the democratic point of view, the left-wing organizational level, how he was able to organize in the field, organize on paper, organize online, and the results were constant. You could rely upon him for a genuine point of view and a professional level of presentation for whatever was going on, what issues were important to him and his organization, and that was not just a hobby; it was a task that he took seriously.
Well, he had cred. He had credibility. You know, he gained credibility with a number of people that went from maybe not caring so much to caring so much. You know, and he was probably a big part of that. He was probably people looked up to Howie. I mean, I don't know if you. I don't know how many people you're friends with on Facebook or social media with ex-KUSF people, but the love for Howie from the generation of people that I worked at KUSF with when Howie was at KUSF, you know, doing his show and when he was helping navigate that station. You know, you go back to people in the record business, Jim Burris, Peter Standish, Carla Diamond, you know, I'm just Lori Gates, who, Jude Heller. You know, there were so many people that he influenced, that he showed the way to, and showed that they had to be tough. Tim Hyde from Polydor. I'm just naming off a few people that I know off the top of my head. Linda Ryan, Linda Champagne. All of these were my contemporaries at KUSF, people that I came up with. And for a little college radio station, it put a lot of people into the music business. You know, and people not even at KUSF, people that were just at other stations around the country. That, you know, that Howie formed relationships with and knew and was able to have an influence on. One thing about Howie, you could always go to him and ask him a question. You could always say to him, you know, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? What's going on here? Should I do this? Should I do that? And he'd have an answer for you. You might not like the answer, but he had an answer for you. And just some of the pictures that some of the people have put up on Facebook from KUSF, just a lot of loving pictures. Although you never see Howie smiling. That was the one thing I noticed in all the pictures. And I don't know that I ever seen Howie smile, which I always wondered about with Howie. You know, he was a guy that had a lot, and I never really seen him laugh, and I never really seen him smile. You know, he was a serious dude. You know,
that's true.
Yeah, I just all the pictures I saw, I never seen him smile. So, yeah, may his memory be a blessing, as the Jewish people say. I mean, a lot of people say that besides the Jewish people, but that's a Jewish blessing. So, yeah, Howie was definitely a unique dude, man. There wasn't too many out there like him. So we got you and I are not going to be friends much this week, are we?
Well, it depends how serious you are with your support for the Seahawks. We'll take you as a 49er late arrival, Ben. You can hop on the bandwagon anytime. There'll be no charge whatsoever. We welcome you in advance. Might as well get to it.
Well, I'll stay with the Seahawks for now. Been with them all season, and I think they got and I'm really. Although I got to admit, last night I was at a casino last night, and I hadn't planned to go to the casino, but I was with a friend, and we were coming back from surveying some of the flood damage up north. I'm driving a Hyundai Palisade X Pro this week, and I wanted to take the Hyundai up on my test course to see how much of it was really damaged and how much was usable, and there's some really major damage up there. There's places where half the road is out. There's places where the whole road is out. I'm probably going to have to use a different test course for a while.
So you're not going to be able to mend that till spring, right?
No, they're working on it already, but there's one part by Darrington that they're not gonna be able to fix that for a while. I mean, the whole underpinning of the road is gone.
Mm-hmm.
Is gone into the South River.
Into the creek.
Yeah, so that's not going to be fixed anytime soon, I don't think. And it's not a major thoroughfare, so it's not like I mean, you can get around it going a couple of different ways. Um, but so I was in the casino last night, and um, the 49ers scored their final points. And naturally, everybody in the casino is mad because, everybody's hoping the 49ers lose. It makes the Seahawks path a little easier. Doesn't put as much meaning into next week's game or this week's game. Um, but when the 49ers scored, yes! And then all of a sudden, like, people are looking at me because, everybody's rooting for the Bears. And but, I rooted for the 49ers for a number of years. I mean, I'll still root for them. If they win this coming weekend, I'll get on the 49ers bandwagon. I still have my, my 1981 49ers sweatshirt.
One thing I noticed is that ESPN has taken an anti-49er editorial bias. Their people who do next day analysis are all shooting down the 49ers victory, presenting it as if somehow the Bears won and were the superior team. And although they had fewer points, they somehow scored, in their minds, a more decisive game than the 49ers who won. And that's their whole reason for believing this is the 49ers allow too many points. And you can spin that any way you want. But when winning is not enough for ESPN, it seems like their gambling sponsorships have to be called into question. But the 49ers won. Yeah, they won, but it's the way they won. It's the way they won that bothers me. They can't do it again.
Yeah, I think I think you bring up a great point. Is that you have to start to now. Most people won't wonder, but people that have brains will start to wonder. Is that the way they feel, or are they trying to move the money? I don't.
You have to get you have to get a piece. You have to get a piece if you're going to.
I think I think this relationship with gambling is a dangerous thing. I think you have a bunch of sports people that stand to make a lot of money if the bets go one way or the other. If they can convince you because you follow this guy or you follow that guy, and that guy can convince you to bet one way or the other, some of the bets they make or whatever, because there's no more. I mean, there was a time when if you worked at like KJR when they had the Sonics, you better not get caught betting on games. And we all know there were people that bet on games that worked with us. I'm not going to say who, but there were people that had serious gambling addictions. And, I don't know that, because if you follow somebody, if you value somebody's opinion, you got somebody and you think that that person really knows about football, and they start saying this, that, and the other thing about a player, are they saying that about a team because they really feel that, or are they saying that because they're trying to influence people to bet a certain way?
It's
How do you know?
It's a preposterous point of view to go on television the next day and explain why the game that the 49ers won was not enough. It doesn't position them above Chicago. It doesn't set them up for a one-game victory over Seattle. It would change the seed of everything. And that's precisely what it does do. They'll tell you that the game you saw was evidence that they can go no further. Everything that made the 49ers win the game yesterday is something they can't recreate with a better team, and that their defense can't stop the Seahawks, that they cannot.
Well, I wouldn't sell the 49ers short. I've seen enough of the 49ers over the past few weeks to see a team that is coming on.
Until the Seahawks had the last three games, the 49ers have scored over 40 points in each game. Now, if you're not prepared to score 40 points to beat them, you can't play that kind of game. You can't compete in that kind of football atmosphere.
Well,
if you're gonna play and you're gonna win, Seahawks, you got to score 42 or more.
Well, the Seahawks better. The Seahawks better figure out how to put some points up on the board in the first half,
which is something that.
I mean, this is how many games
become their trademark
that they've put 3 or 6 up in the first half and have just been impotent in the first half of a game.
Yep.
And people will say, well, it doesn't matter how you win. Now, the one thing I do have to say about the Seahawks is their defense is clicking on all cylinders. The 49ers may run into a team on Sunday that may stop them on their 40-point per game streak, because the defense is just that good. But you have a quarterback who seems to be prone to making a mistake at a crucial time, either to throwing an interception or getting the ball tipped.
Right.
We were back to watching guys tip his ball when he throws it, like he's not throwing it high enough. So,
and the 49ers have struggled with their injuries, and they had more last night that not working out, having
what happened with George
Kittle?
George Kittle.
High ankle sprain, not a serious one, but enough to keep him out of last night's game from the previous weeks, and actually the Thursday night game. And the prognosis is that he will play in the next game. There's some serious discussion about whether Fred Warner will return this year after surgery. That seems impossible, but apparently he's close enough to recovery that he's being discussed as a drop in during the playoffs. Can't say if it won't be against Seahawks. Theoretically, it will not be that soon, but that he would play in the subsequent games when they reach the actual playoffs. And there's a thought that he will beat the healing process by months and come back to play before many other players would have been anywhere near ready to resume their duties. Fred Warner is a special case. However, I'd like to see him consider his future rather than just the next game in terms of what he opens himself for in terms of additional injury or re-injury, or just being able to function at a certain level but not play at top linebacker level, which allows the Seahawks to exploit his position, play to him, shoot at him, and we can't afford that.
Well, I think it's going to be an exciting game. I don't think this is going to be, again, see what the coaches have to say in their press conferences. I don't know. I always find this final week interesting in that what can you really say to this team? What can you say? What can the coaches say to the team except go now? In the Seahawks case, it's interesting because, again, what is wrong with this team that they can't seem to do anything in the first half? And the 49ers are a team that, if you get down to them in the first half, it might be a little bit tougher to get up against them than other teams that they've seen.
Plus, this business of 40 points comes from scoring regularly, drive after drive after drive, another score, another score, another score. You have to keep up with them if nothing else. You have to stay close. Field goals will not do.
How do you put the brakes on that? How do you stop that? Now, I think the Seahawks defense can stop that.
Got to get to Purdy,
but it's going to be fun to watch. I mean, I don't know. This is a hard game to call for who's going to win it. You can say that the 49ers have scored. That you got to score 40 points or 35 points or whatever, but the Seahawks are a formidable team. There's a few places that they're weak, and obviously the 49ers are going to exploit those places. We'll see what Sam Darnold's got. That's one place I would really give the 49ers a bit of an advantage is at the quarterback position because, Brock Purdy has shown me nothing but an ability to work with his team as a unit. And he knows his guys. Sam Darnold, it can work with his team, obviously, but he's still learning in some ways. I think that, now, it seems like the Seahawks are going to be healthy. There was, a couple of players had some injuries. One was out on concussion protocol of their key players, and so we'll see how that goes. But I think for the most part, everybody's up and ready to go. We'll be up and ready to go. So we'll see. It was interesting to watch him bust out a couple of trick plays too yesterday.
Yeah, the hook and ladder.
Yeah. It was interesting to see a couple of different wrinkles I guess the guys at ESPN call them wrinkles, don't they? A couple of wrinkles in the play in the game. How do you iron out those wrinkles? But it was this is going to be an exciting week, I think. See what happens tonight with the Rams and Atlanta. I got to think that Rams are going to, crush Atlanta, but who knows?
Not so fast, my friend. We'll see.
And
they're playing in Atlanta.
Yeah, I think they're in Atlanta. So, and that'll be interesting to see. As far as the approach at camp this week for both teams. I mean, the teams know each other. They know what they got to deal with. They know what they know the character of the other team. They know what the other team is. These two teams probably know each other better than any other two teams in the league. So it'll be interesting to see what Mike McDonald comes up with. What it's just listen, I think it's gonna be a great football game, or I hope it is. I hope it's not a game that we're sitting there going, geez, when's somebody gonna score? Here we are in the third quarter and it's 9-3. I mean, I don't mean it's a good defensive game, but still, I wouldn't mind seeing an old AFL type of game where they're hurling the ball. Kind of like last night. Last night was a good game.
Big game.
I mean, there was stuff going on all over the place. There's a little something there for everybody.
You better score when you get the ball.
Yeah. So it'll be fun to watch. I'm going to get an extra bag of popcorn.
See about the Rams tonight. I give the Rams the edge, but playing in Atlanta is not going to be easy. And the Falcons have a renewed image of themselves, which is going around the league. The Bears, the Jacksonville Jaguars, these are teams that think of themselves as being able to win the big game now. They're going to play, and they have the tools, the experience, and they've convinced themselves that they're winners. And it's showing up, changing the power brackets of the entire league to have these new upstart teams involved in the playoff system.
Well,
and they're not giveaways. They're playing hard. They have the talent. They have the new talent to compete.
Yeah, change is good. I mean, it's good to see different teams. I mean, I have no, Jacksonville is one of those teams that, I could care less. But it's good to see a different team in there and doing something. I don't. I mean, and listen, the big thing will, of course, the big thing will the Jets get to 4 wins? Another ugly game yesterday. It's interesting. I think an interesting team to watch, and I'm no New England Patriots fan, but boy, they've really they've burst. I mean, considering what they were a year ago and what they've turned into now, pretty interesting stuff for them.
Mike Vrabel making the difference, a huge difference.
Yeah, he looks to be a keeper for them. I mean, he looks that he's revamped that organization and gotten some people to buy into what he's doing, and all of a sudden, what do they have? 11 wins, 12. They got 12, and they're that I think one of the biggest surprises that are interesting to me is is I just lost what I was thinking. The Patriots. I'm not a Patriots fan. I don't like the team. It goes back to the Boston Patriots days. The rivalry between them and the Jets. But their quarterback has really shown up, and there's a lot of people saying that that he should be in consideration for the MVP. Pat's got their first title since Belichick was there, and all of a sudden, it's the good times are back in Boston.
They got a great young quarterback. That seems to be the basis of the optimism.
Yeah, I'm kind of sad, and I don't know why I feel sad for Phillip Rivers that he's now 0-3 since coming back. I'd like to see him win a game. I mean, would you like to see? I don't want to see the guy go 0-4 when he comes back, or in his comeback.
It's another example of how much talent even the bad teams must have. It's the time of year, Vin. Time of year when we look back at those who we lost in the previous year, and I don't want to do it now, but just a quick cursory look at the list. Anytime Brian Wilson, Sly Stone, and Ozzy Osbourne all die in the same year, that's a big year. That's a massive loss to the music industry and to the music history and the foundations of the music business that we love, the side that we love, the artist devoted elements of the industry, where you can appreciate Brian Wilson, Ozzy Osbourne, Sly and the Family Stone for the amazing things that they were able to do during their time. And we lost all three this year, along with a number of other mentionables. Who can I mention off the top of my head? Well, someone I had respect for, Phil Upchurch. You can't sit down.
Yeah.
Jimmy Cliff. So we'll pick a day soon, Vin, and we'll go over our list. And
let's do it. Let's do it on Wednesday, which will be New Year's Eve, right?
Be our next show.
And we'll kind of go over who we lost. Although I get the older I get, the less I like doing these who we lost things, because we seem to, it's not bad when you lose people that are older than you are, but when you start to lose a lot of people that are either your age or younger, it gets you all nervous. But there's the music. Well, I mean, we took a lot of hits this year. There's a lot of people that left us. A lot of good people left us this year.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. I mean, I had 3 people who are close to me lose people over the Christmas weekend, the Christmas week here, and it's yeah, it's just it kind of makes you look in the mirror, and it kind of forces you to appreciate things more, and to realize that you gotta live every minute, man. You know, when we're lying in bed, because you don't know. So, all right, man. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up for a Monday. Unless you have anything else on the docket that you can think of.
I think we can wait. Monday Night Football is the Rams.
Yeah, we'll have a clearer picture of things. What did you get anything interesting for Christmas?
Got this hat. This is from
Oh,
my grandson Bo's baseball team.
oh, nice.
And S1 stands for strike one.
Is that their name? Strike One.
It's the name of the travel league.
Ah, Strike One. Interesting name. Why not Ball One?
Why
Why
not?
start 0-1? I got my beautiful daughter got me a I have an aversion to these. These things that are in front of a car dealer. Most car dealers put in front of their place to, you know, it moves around like this.
Yeah, like a balloon, but
Yeah, it's like a balloon,
it's a
and for some
column
strange
of air being forced into a puppet.
yeah, car dealers think that this balloon will attract people into their business. Never understood the mentality. I've asked car dealers, and they say, "Oh, you got to get one. You have to have one." Yeah. So my beautiful daughter knows how much I dislike these things. I really, when I'm driving along and I see one, I always mention there's another car dealer that thinks that much the way guys used to go down the street honking horns at women, thinking that they were just going to jump in their car because they honked the horn and said, "Hey, baby," or something like that. Same principle. So she got me a little mini balloon type thing that I can just hit the switch on when I'm feeling blue, and I don't even have to leave the house to get mad at one. I can sit right in my living room and get pissed off.
Does it have a name?
Not yet, and I don't know if I'll even be able to say the name once I give it one.
Yeah, good point. Well,
But it was a thoughtful. It proved that she was paying attention to what I was saying, and for that I'm always eternally grateful.
Good choice,
So,
Aaron. Good job.
all right, man. I'll see you on Wednesday if the Lord's willing and the creek don't rise, pal.
Be a wacky Wednesday. See you, Ben.
It will be. All right, Mikey. Take care of yourself. Thank you all for listening as well. We'll catch up with you Wednesday morning at 10:10. And until then, peace, love, and Manischewitz, baby.
What a wine. See you, Ben.
Hey, Mikey.